Hey guys, Mike from the Pop Culture Playhouse, and welcome back to another Blu-ray DVD weekly wrap-up episode. I got a great stack of titles to showcase for you guys this week, including the recent Blu-ray release of Phantom of the Paradise from Arrow Video, Dead Kids from Severin Films on Blu-ray and DVD combo pack, In Fear from Anchor Bay Home Entertainment, and the complete series of Transformers Armada from Shout Factory. All this and much more, so sit tight and we'll be back in just a minute. Alrighty guys, and welcome back to the latest Blu-ray DVD weekly wrap-up episode. We're going to kick off this week with a real bang by taking a look at the recent release from Arrow Video of Brian De Palma's Phantom of the Paradise. Now, I know this was previously released in a French edition, but Arrow Video has really come to the saving grace of cult fans worldwide by putting this out in a new Blu-ray edition with audio and video, specifications that are just going to knock you off your socks, and a special features package that is just one of the best I've seen in a really long time. Now, I know this is really early on in the year, but I'm gonna stick to my guns and say already that this is one of my favorite releases of 2014. I know, a really bold statement, but it's just a phenomenal release from top to bottom. It's amazing. But before we get into all that, let's go ahead and talk about what Phantom of the Paradise is about. In this film, it stars William Finley as kind of a nerdish, bookwormish type of composer who's, perfecting his latest work, and it isn't before long that this evil record producer, who's played, brilliantly by Paul Williams, who most of you would know as, he's a really renowned songwriter in real life, and he would also go on to voice the Penguin in the 1990s Batman the Animated Series. But he plays this really evil record producer who takes advantage of William Finley's character and steals his music to his, full advantage. William Finley's character ends up in a really severe accident and kind of, forms this whole new kind of persona under this, really cool-looking mask. So they're kind of like at odd, they're kind of like at each other's necks the rest of the film, where William Finley's character is just trying to kind of, woo the woman that he loves and, perform the music that, he's worked so hard to create, for audiences around the world. But Paul Williams' character, the evil record producer, is, just all in it for the money and just trying to corrupt the music and everything about it. But it's a really phenomenal film, and one that's really gone on to develop this cult status. And for years and years it was really hard to see this released in any sort of legitimate presentation. But within the last few years, the floodgates have finally lowered on Phantom of the Paradise, and we've finally been seeing, releases flood out. I know I mentioned a French release a little earlier, and Arrow Video's recent release of this is, the second one out of the gate, with Scream Factory also preparing their stateside collector's edition release for it later on in the summer. But Arrow Video's is amazing. It's a really tough act to follow. Audio and visual, it looks really good, really great grain structure and black levels looking great. There's a lot of really lavish and, extravagant costume work in this, and that comes across really nice and detailed. Colors look really nice, especially in skin tones. Everything looks really nicely accurate. No dirt and debris are in here really, intruding on your viewing experience in this. With this being a film so musically infused, this sounds really good for what it is. All these great songs, made for the film by Paul Williams come across without a hitch. Dialogue comes across clear as a whistle. So overall, audio and visually, I was really impressed with Arrow Video's handling on this. But the real meat of this package is found within the special features. I mean, there's so much content on this disc that it's going to take you days to get through it all. Just to give you a peek on this, you get a 50-minute documentary on the making of the film that includes interviews with Brian De Palma, the producer, the late star William Finley, and composer Paul Williams. You also get a new 72-minute interview with Paul Williams conducted by Guillermo del Toro. That is hands down my favorite featurette on this, being a huge Guillermo del Toro fan, and del Toro is a huge Phantom of the Paradise fan in his own right, so he's a great person to interview Paul Williams. I mean, there's just so much great information information about Paul Williams and his songwriting career, and of course all the hard work that went into Phantom of the Paradise itself. But that featurette is my favorite one on this, really robust selection. In addition, you get a Swan Song Fiasco featurette that goes into the changes made to the film during the post-production time. You get archive interviews with the costume designer. You get a Paradise Lost and Found featurette, which is like a bunch of bloopers and outtakes. You get radio spots, and you also get a reversible cover art, which you're going to be taking a look at in just a second. But before we get into it, let's go ahead and check out this really great cover art on here. I actually flipped this over. This is the original one-sheet poster art, which I just thought was great. I think that just captures, the mood of the film so well. It's a really fun film that's just scattered with so many great performances and awesome music. I mean, I had such a blast with this. Obviously, this is directed by Brian De Palma, one of my favorite directors, and while he has been accused of, more or less ripping off Hitchcock's techniques time and time again through his films, Phantom of the Paradise really, ends up being one of his most if not his most unique film ever made. I mean, it's just oozing with so much originality. It's really a one-of-a-kind film that is one of my favorite De Palma films out of his, entire impressive catalog. But, again, this cover art is the one-sheet poster that I flipped around, from the custom, newly drafted cover art, which I'll show you guys in a second. And then flipping this over, you get of course, a description of the film and all the special features on here. It's a huge list to get through, and like I said, it's going to take you days to get through it all. So let's crack this open, and, you get some cool cover art that uses that great Phantom of the Paradise logo in there. You get a bit of an advertisement for Remo, Unarmed and Dangerous, which apparently Arrow Video is going to be putting out. You get an awesome booklet on here that has an essay on the film, and I'm just going to flip through this a little bit for you guys. You get some cool screen grabs from the film itself. There you go. The music made him do it essay on here. Again, it's just scattered with a lot of great pictures and, some really great, insightful, and informative essays on it. I get a nice shot of the back booklet there, but, like I said, this is a really great piece and an already robust set of, special features included on this, and I'm just going to take the disc out so I can show you how it will come to you if you order it. This is a piece of the newly drafted artwork that was made. Really awesome cover art. I really loved that illustration, but I ended up opting to switch it over to the one-sheet art, but that is really killer in and of itself, so really good stuff. But like I said, guys, I mean, if you've been yearning to see Brian De Palma's Phantom of the Paradise for years and years on a non-bootleg release, of course, then Arrow Videos' release is definitely the way to go. Like I said, this is hands down one of my favorite releases of 2014 already, with an incredibly stacked array of special features and top-notch audio and visual specifications. So if Brian De Palma and, really off-the-wall musicals with awesome performances are up your alley, then Phantom of the Paradise is definitely one release that you're going to need to check out now. Alrighty guys, and next up, available right now from Anchor Bay Entertainment, is In Fear. When a young couple are traveling to a music festival located in the Irish countryside, they quickly find themselves lost in a series of back roads, and things go from bad to worse when an unseen tormentor is stalking them all the way to their destination. Now, while I was genuinely excited to check this one out, considering all the great praise that it's been getting, some of which can even be found on the cover of this Blu-ray, some quotes calling it one of the best horror movies of the year, and an instant classic, that definitely heightens your expectations for a newer horror film. And unfortunately, while, the performances from the couple, really invoke a lot of emotion, and they're really believable, I really enjoy their performances, there's just not enough meat in Fear to, really make it worth anything memorable. And what I mean by that is, there's just not enough in there that makes that really kind of sends chills down, your spine. There's definitely some moments, like some jump moments that, definitely, catch you off guard, but it really just kind of boils down to being this kind of senseless kind of film where the two leads are, basically strapped entirely to their car driving around. That's the majority of the film. The entire film is more or less found with them driving and trying to, navigate their way out of the woods and, reach themselves to safety or get to that music festival that they've been trying to get to, all the while, this stalker is following them and kind of doing, these really, weird things that really catch them off guard. But there's just not enough there. Like, why is this guy doing it? What exactly is his cause for doing it? There's really no justification for it, and it does, it really, it kind of leaves you feeling not as scared as a film like this probably should have made you feel. So, I more or less, I was left pretty disappointed by In Fear based on all that great, praise that it had coming into it. But like I said, the performances from, the couple in this are really good. They really managed to invoke a lot of emotion and have, some really great, genuine chemistry amongst them. But, the fear that you're hoping to find in a film like this is really lost. You're really just finding yourself questioning a lot of the motivations, behind the tormentor, or, basically, the worst thing that you could possibly ask in a film like this, or any film for that matter, is, what's the point? And that's really a really bad complaint to have in any film, but I just kind of found myself scratching my head and questioning, what's the point of all this? I just don't get it. So, while this is, a first-time effort from a first-time director, he did manage to get some great performances out of the limited cast that he had, but, there's just not enough atmosphere and, not enough genuine scares to really make this anything, worth, a rental, if anything. But, let's go ahead and take a look at this, really subtle cover art of, one of the lead actors in, looking through the driver's side window. And then when you turn that over, you get a description of the film with some screen grabs. And, of course, you have a small special featurette of In Fear behind the scenes, which is like a 10-minute behind-the-scenes look interviewing the director and the cast and everything that got them involved in the film and the making of it. And then when you crack this one open, you get some pretty plain disc art. But like I said, guys, In Fear just really wasn't, all it was cracked up to be. But, if you're into films like this and you're looking for something a little newer in the horror section, check out In Fear if you're curious. And following up with some more horror goodies available right now from Severin Films is Dead Kids. This Ozploitation classic from the early 80s is such a jumbling of weird and unique things that Dead Kids is certainly a one-of-a-kind film, and I mean that in the best possible ways. But this film was actually previously available under its American title, Strange Behavior, from Synapse Films on DVD, but Severin Films have gotten the rights now and released it back out under its original titled Dead Kids in a Blu-ray DVD combo pack. But for those of you that have never seen Dead Kids, this is a really weird one to explain. It really starts off like, kind of like a quasi-slasher film and really following into the conventions of, the early 80s slashers that were also coming out at the time of Dead Kids, 1981. But this is an Ozploitation film that was shot in New Zealand, which is dubbing for like an Illinois kind of setting, and within this there's a killer running rampant. It seems pretty simple and obvious that this is just kind of like another slasher knockoff, but it quickly kind of changes gears and becomes sort of like a mad scientist and a mad scientist plot behind all of these slasher-esque killings in the town. But it's really cool, very unique, and it's just scattered with so many recognizable faces from other movies that, although you might not know all of the actors' names, you're gonna watch this movie and be like, oh wait, that's Marty McFly's brother from Back to the Future. Oh, that's Dae Young from Rock and Roll High School. Like, it's just one of those films that every single frame there's somebody new that you loved in a previous cult movie or a different horror movie. They're all found in this one, and that's what kind of adds its very, otherworldly quality that I loved so much. But I think that's just what I loved so much about Dead Kids, is the jumbling of different actors in this, and just kind of the juggling act of what this is. It's a slasher mixed with a mad scientist type film, and while those two seem, kind of like conflicting, it really meshes together nicely, and this comes across as a very, unique, one-of-a-kind effort. It certainly is, very different from the other, horror films that were coming out in and around this time, which was predominantly slashers, since this was the slasher boom. So Dead Kids is a very, welcome addition to any horror fan's library, especially fans of, early 80s horror. This is just such a unique and really wild and over-the-top film that I just had so much fun with, and I can't recommend enough. But Severin Films has done a really good job by, presenting some cool special features on here. You get an audio commentary with director co-writer Michael Lachlan. You also get another audio commentary with co-writer and associate producer Bill Condon, who went on to a really successful career in and of itself. He went on to direct things as Gods and Monsters and Dreamgirls. He's joined on here by actors Dan Shore and Dae Young from Rock and Roll High School. You also get an Effects of Strange Behavior interview, which is an interview with the makeup effects artist Craig Reardon, which is a really cool addition. You get the U.S. trailer, international trailer, and an isolated musical score by Tangerine Dream. Tangerine Dream performed all the music in this film, and that's another quality that kind of adds a very odd, unique kind of spin to this film. The music is really awesome by Tangerine Dream, so I think it's really cool that it's included as an isolated music score on this. It's really awesome stuff. But let's go ahead and check out the packaging. Very cool image, really, set, right to the point, with a very not so subtle title of Dead Kids and that syringe to the eyeball, which shows a very memorable scene in the film. And then when you switch that over, you get the synopsis, and of course all the special features with some more screen grabs, cool, moment with the killer wearing a Tor Johnson mask of all things. Very cool stuff. And then when you crack this one open, you get the Blu-ray and the DVD mimicking that cover art that we just saw. So overall, guys, I had a blast with Dead Kids, and if you've never seen it before, I would highly recommend this to anyone that, is a fan of 80s horror, specifically early 80s horror, because this is one exploitation film that's so odd and fun and different that you're gonna, it's gonna be really hard to not love something like this. So definitely check it out if you get a chance. It's available right now from Severin Films. Alrighty guys, and also available right now from Severin Films is yet another exploitation classic in what is quickly becoming known as one of the most unique vampire films of the 1970s, Thirst. Now in Thirst, David Hemmings and Henry Silva play executives in a, like a blood-drinking cartel known as the Brotherhood. It's a really unconventional vampire tale, and basically what they're doing is abducting and taking all these humans and using them as their own personal cows on this plantation, kind of, and they're basically draining the humans of all their blood for, their own well-being, as well as all the other vampires, as to replenish their energy and what have you. And while it all sounds very cut and dry, like, oh yeah, of course it's vampires needing blood, I get it, yada yada yada, it's the execution in a film like Thirst that really sets it apart from other vampire films of the time, and of course before this time. It's very, very unique, and that's what really caught me off guard when I first popped this in, and really drew me in until the end credits. Just how unique the story was to it. It's a very interesting take on the vampire mythology, which I really, really dug, and of course it also helps that when you have people like David Hemmings and the great Henry Silva playing vampires in it. Very believable, because they're pretty heinous guys in most movies that they play in, but it's really, really good, and I had actually never seen the film before, so in a time where vampire films are, at, another all-time peak of popularity, they're kind of slowly, beginning to lose their weight, but, kind of going back a few decades and, dusting off a film like Thirst, it really makes you appreciate, the different takes and approaches that so many different creative people have tried with the vampire mythology. And Thirst is one that I don't really feel like gets its proper due. I mean, I had never even heard of the film until Severin Films, released it, which, for those of you that are interested, it's been transferred now in HD from the original negative for the first time ever. So it looks really beautiful. Great grain structure is present throughout it. There's some minor, dirt and debris found, but it's very, sporadic. Never, is bothersome to, your viewing experience, which is always a good thing. But, skin tones look good. Black levels look nice. A lot of it is shot outdoors, where these, the human characters that are found on this blood cartel plantation are kind of, walking around very lifeless and drained. So it's kind of set, a lot of outside light, a lot of daytime light and natural sunlight gleaming into shots. But it all looks really good and very natural. So I was really impressed with the transfer on this. Sound is really good too. I never lost, any dialogue or, what have you. Music music comes across clear as a whistle. So overall, very, nice work from Severin. But I was really won over by this because, it amazed me how, a film like Thirst caught me off my guard. While I enjoyed it thoroughly, I was just kind of left with, the thoughts of, how did I never know about this film? How did I ever, not know about this? But I'm really happy that, I found it now, and, finding it and seeing it for the first time, and, a great presentation that Severin Films has done. And on top of that, they also include some pretty cool special features, including an audio commentary with director Rod Hardy and the producer. You also get an isolated music score by Brian May. Not Brian May from Queen, but the person Brian May that composed the music for this. He was also responsible for Mad Max and Patrick. You also get a theatrical trailer and 3 TV spots. So really good stuff overall, but like I said, this is a very unique and unconventional take on the vampire mythology, but a really awesome one to boot, with great performances from people like David Hemmings and Henry Silva. But all that aside, let's go ahead and take a peek at the packaging. Really cool, cover art on that. I really like that. That imagery is something that you're going to be seeing a lot in this film, especially once they get to the blood drinking cartel. But really cool, really nice painted design there. And then when you turn that over, you get a synopsis of the film, special features listed, and some cool screen grabs from the film. And then when you crack this one open, this is a Blu-ray DVD combo pack, just like Dead Kids. And there you are, the Blu-ray and the DVD with some cool disc art that mimics that great cover art that I just showcased. So overall, really good time. If vampire films are your cup of tea, definitely check out this awesome Ozploitation classic of a very unique take on the vampire mythology. Thirst is available right now from Severin Films. Alrighty guys, switching gears quite a bit and entering into some more salacious material, available right now from Impulse Pictures is 42nd Street Forever, the Peep Show Collection Volume 1. Now, Impulse Pictures is actually an offshoot division of Synapse Films that handles more of their erotic and adult entertainment type of film fare. But in the Peep Show Collection Volume 1, this is actually a series of 15 classic 8mm loops that were predominantly found throughout the 1960s and 1980s, in the back of sex magazines and, in the 60,000 plus peep shows that were scattered throughout the country. If you walked into the sleazy Times Square area of New York City around the, 1960s, 1970s, these were the things that you would be finding in the peep shows in and of that time. But you have 15 8mm stag films that have all been, collected and remastered from their original film prints that run roughly 2 hours in length, and there's no nice way around it. These are some hardcore bits of film footage. They look really ratty and scratched up, probably no different than how they looked originally, in Times Square or other sleazier locations. So that in itself, it kind of retains that sleazy type of vibe that films of this ilk, naturally possess, which is pretty cool. But they don't look particularly great. They're not going to win any awards for restoration here, but like I said, that kind of just adds to the aura of, 8mm stag films. But, I do, being a big lover of film and, especially film preservation, I think it's really cool that, Impulse Pictures is putting things like this out, and the guys at Vinegar Syndrome, save and put out so many, important adult entertainment films and, short films like that. So I think it's really great, and I really reward and, like to support efforts like that. But, as far as, an overall entertaining viewing experience, the Peep Show Collection Volume 1 didn't exactly do it for me. This isn't exactly something that I'm probably going to pop on in my spare time out of boredom, or, if I'm looking for something, to really take me to a really entertaining cinematic experience. But like I said, I do appreciate the type of, preservation that, Impulse and people like Vinegar Syndrome are doing to, preserve and save, these adult, orientated films. So that in and of itself is a really cool feat and something that's, really cool to check out from a historical point of view. But, if adult entertainment is up your alley, this is definitely, something, a bit of a unique addition into Impulse Pictures' line, and, by the sounds of a Volume 1, I think that they have plans to do more, so for this being the first installment, this is definitely a very cool inclusion, in their already very popular adult line. So let's go ahead and check out, that cover art. Definitely doesn't make, any mystery what kind of, film or film material this is, but it definitely, I think, captures that very seedy Times Square type of vibe, so really cool package design on that. And then in the back, you get some, a bit, some salacious material that I don't think I want to get too, deep into, but then you get, the disc art there, and then, like I don't know if I mentioned this, you also get liner notes from the publisher of Cinema Sewer, Robin Bogey. You get a cool essay in here, which is actually pretty informative and really funny to boot, so I actually had a really good time reading that after viewing, the content on this. But like I said, if you're a fan of adult entertainment, or, just the idea of, what the Peep shows were like, between the 1960s and 1980s, really the peak of all that stuff going on, a much sleazier time in America, then, definitely check out 42nd Street Forever, the Peep Show Collection, Volume 1. It's available right now from Impulse Pictures. Alrighty guys, and the final title that we're going to be talking about in this week's episode of the Blu-ray DVD Weekly Wrap-Up is the complete series of Transformers Armada, available right now from Shout Factory. Now with Transformers, popularity being at like an all-time high, with shows like Rescue Bots playing to a younger demographic, and the live-action movies with a new one on the way, performing so well at the box office, it's really great to see Shout Factory, investing so much in the Transformers brand. They've been responsible for putting out so many of the countless older shows, so I'm really happy to see them continue that tradition by, really plucking off the, the few Transformers shows that they haven't released just yet, but, luckily they continue to nab the rights of these things, so, it's a great time to be a Transformers fan. But, as a Transformers fan growing up, I grew up on, the early stuff, like the G1 stuff, so when Transformers Armada originally aired during 2002 to 2004, it ran for 4 seasons, with an impressive 52-episode lineup. I was kind of out of the loop with Transformers and, the Transformers cartoons, so, getting acquainted with this show now is a really, breath of fresh air, having never seen it. But in Transformers Armada, this deals with, of course, the Autobots and the Decepticons waging a mighty war over these Transformers, very clever Transformers known as Minicons. The war is obviously raging very long, a lot of destruction, and chaos is ensuing, and the two of them call a truce as the Minicons manage to escape, only crash landing on planet Earth. Of course, leave it to some young Earthlings to kind of awaken the Minicons, and it isn't before long that the Decepticons get a reading from Earth and end up crash landing there to kind of reclaim these very clever Transformers for their own uses. Thankfully, the Autobots come there, and then a whole new war ensues between, our favorite robots in disguise. Like I said, never saw this during its original debut, so being a big Transformers fan, this was really awesome to get acquainted to, and I have to tell you, I had such a blast with this show. It was just so great. I mean, everything about it really was up my alley. I really liked, the very anime influence on the animation itself and the character designs, as obviously was a joint production between America and Japan. That's, very apparent in the animation styles, and of course the dubbing, with the English, over the obvious, Japanese animation. But it all gels really well. There's some really great stories, some very memorable characters, and of course some really great, fight sequences to be found in each episode between the Autobots and the Decepticons. Overall, I was pleasantly surprised with Transformers Armada. It almost makes me wish I could go back in time to have seen this when it originally aired, because I would have been a huge fan of this, but, luckily, like I said, Shout Factory has come to the rescue for yet another, catalog Transformers cartoon, and it's great to have it out on DVD in its entirety, because it's a great series to witness. But let's go ahead and take a look at the package on there. Really great, bold image of Optimus Prime there with that cool Transformers Armada logo on there. And then when you flip that over, you get some cool images throughout the season. You get some of the Earthling characters that I really liked the animation style on them. And then when you remove this cool slipcover, you get the same cover art on there that mimics the cardboard slipcover that you get. And then when you open this, you get all the discs, which I'll showcase. And if you notice back here, you actually get an episode rundown of all of the seasons and all of the episodes that you find in each of the 4 seasons. And, flipping that over, you get some cool, unique disc art as you kind of make your way through the series, which is always appreciated. Really well done on Shout Factory's part. Very cool stuff to be found there. And then when you get to the end, again, you can see some more background art, and then of course Season 3 and Season 4, detailing all the episode titles over the 8 discs. So overall, really fun stuff. Like I said, Transformers Armada, not something that I grew up with or saw during its original debut, but getting acquainted with it now was a real great breath of fresh air. Being a big Transformers fan, so I would highly recommend that every Transformers fan or, fan of 80s cartoons and stuff should definitely check out the complete series of Transformers Armada. It's available right now from Shout Factory. Alrighty guys, that about does it for this week's installment of the Blu-ray DVD Weekly Wrap-Up. But stay tuned to the site as we're going to have advanced peeks at Odd Thomas, the Return to Nukem High Volume 1 from Troma Entertainment, Scream Factory's latest releases for Beneath, and the Slumber Party Massacre. All this and much more, so stay subscribed and we'll see you in the next video.